Well, we've got a great topic today. The topic is inflammation, the silent killer. And I know I've seen a number of these presentations, and when we talk about where do you think you are on a wellness scale versus where you really are on a wellness scale and what those markers are and those indicators are, inflammation is a huge one. So let's take a look now, and we'll go with Dr. Fernandez, and we will pack a lot of information into this 30 minutes, and then we're eager to hear from him. Dr. Fernandez, it is all yours.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you to all the audience. And I'm very happy to talk to you, people from the US, people from Latin America, also over here right now. I see people from Mexico, from Central America, from South America. I also saw people from the European Union. You already heard the news. I'm going to be with you in Amsterdam the 6th of September, I believe, in the morning. So we're gonna be seeing you in in a presentation, and we're gonna talk about epigenetics. But now the topic is inflammation. Okay, that silent killer that everybody talks about. That right now, like a friend of mine, a doctor in the U.S. says, the silent killer, no, not so silent at all. Okay, so this is your wellness team called Inflammation, the Silent Killer. Today is Tuesday. I believe it's the Tuesday, the 26th of August, 2025. And in 2 or 3 months, I'm going to be 2 years performing, sharing, and understanding what we have in our hands. For example, I need to begin with a disclaimer. The following information is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice. It is only for informational, educational purposes based on preventive medicine. If you think you have any condition shown in this presentation, we suggest that you consult a certified healthcare professional for the diagnosis and treatment of any medical condition. Okay? This being said, I'm going to begin talking about a little bit about what is inflammation. We all heard inflammation, the root of most diseases. The body's defense mechanism against damage or invasion is inflammation. It can be acute or chronic. If it's acute, it is temporary and it's protective. So it's a need, okay? But if it is chronic, it is persistent and harmful. When it is chronic, it contributes to weight gain, insulin resistance, fatigue, etc. And we're going to be talking about all of this. But did you know that your body can be inflamed without you noticing? And this prevents you from losing weight also? So it is called chronic low-grade inflammation, and it is silent, it is persistent, and the effects on your metabolism, hormones, and overall health are way damaged for you. Okay, so you're gonna suffer it. The chronic inflammation that I told you, the silent killer, in a journal 2 decades ago, Time magazine says the secret killer. The secret killer, because the surprising link between inflammation and heart attacks, cancer, Alzheimer's, and all of that were studied and have been certified by science. This low-grade inflammation causes pain, tiredness, as I told you, premature aging, chronic diseases, and the common symptoms are symptoms that you and I can see. So you and I can feel and live with it, but are not aware. We are not aware of what we are going through. For example, how many of us have constant fatigue, mild joint pain? How many of us have digestive bloating, low mood, brain fog, health conditions that do not improve in time? So a lot of us are living like that. So the thing is, we live like that and we start to believe that is our normality, but it's no normality on this. The thing, the correct word is chronic inflammation, like Dr. Mina Batra says, a very recognized physician in the US and in the world, says the not so silent killer. What causes this not so silent killer called inflammation? Bad habits, little unhealthy things that you do every day. You're biodesigning your body for disease, not for health. You biodesign your body for disease. People told me, we've been using this slogan, this word, biodesign your health, and people says, what if I decide not to biodesign my health? Well, you're now making the other decision of biodesigning what? Your disease, okay? You're pulling the trigger of disease genetics. You're using epigenetics against you, not in favor of you. And inflammatory habits like diet, ultra processed foods, sugars, trans fats, GMOs, sedentary lifestyle, sustained stress, intestinal dysbiosis, which is the unbalance of microbiota in your gut, environmental toxins, and also sleep disorders that work against you, not having the adequate rest. Okay, all of these inflammatory habits put us in this position. Over 50% of global deaths are associated with fairly limited spectrum of conditions, including cardiovascular, neurodegenerative diseases, diabetes, autoimmune disorders, as well as various organ-specific diseases and certain types of cancer. Extensive research conducted over the past few decades have demonstrated that the pathogenesis of each of these disorders is tightly associated with sterile low-grade inflammation triggers. One that you should understand and remember is the DAMPs, DAMPs, damage associated molecular patterns. And I'm going to be talking about this in a few seconds. There's life-threatening risk factors that contribute to the development of diseases and the highest mortality through the induction of regulated necrotic cell death. What I'm trying to tell you is that we already know that smoking, hypertension, obesity, hypercholesterolemia, alcohol in high doses, air pollution causes this necrotic cell death thing. And when cells dies, what happens is that this DAMPS, okay, are the like the metabolites of the cell death. They started or trigger highly levels of low degree inflammation in your cardiovascular system, in the neurodegeneration, in your liver, your pancreas, causing diabetes, etc. So this being said, in the Nature magazine, they published this in 2019. Factors that increase the risk for chronic disease and perpetuate disease severity. So we have causes, we have systemic chronic inflammation in the middle, and we have consequences. The causes are well known. We talk about all of the time about this. Chronic infections, sedentarism, like physical inactivity, obesity, dysbiosis, the imbalance of the gut microbiota, bad diet, a lot of sugars, a lot of saturated and trans fats, low protein and low nutrition in your meals. Isolation and chronic stress are also causes. Disturbed sleep, having when you didn't have enough rest, and xenobiotics, a lot of compounds that are associated with hormonal things in your metabolic system. And we could keep on going talking about hormones in meat, and pesticides, herbicides in your fruits and vegetables, and GMOs. And when we're talking about genetically modified organisms and a lot of things. But the thing is that the causes are the ones that started to roll this wheel faster, and things that are supposed to be showing up until 70, 65, 75, 80 years old, we now see patients that are 20, 25, 30 with diabetes, with hypertension, with cardiovascular problems, with cancer, with depression, with neurodegenerative diseases, autoimmune diseases, etc. The consequences now doesn't wait the time they does it in the past. Why? Because in the past maybe you couldn't see these in the last 30, 40 years, but now modern life started to roll the wheel way faster. So we have an inflammation cycle also that we need to understand, because the inflammation and obesity are closely related. Closely related. For example, there's a relationship between this inflammation and body weight. When you are inflamed and you have increase in insulin resistance, then the metabolic consequences increase visceral fat. And we all know what visceral fat can cause. Decrease leptin sensitivity. This is a substance that increases appetite and decreases satiety. So what happens is that we keep on going, oxidative stress, metabolic consequence, cell damage, more fat storage. Inflammation, dysbiosis, intestinal gut dysbiosis, metabolic consequence, increase of caloric absorption and endotoxemia. Okay, so like substances that are toxic going inside your blood. That's what endotoxemia means. So inflammation and adipose tissue are very, very close. Fatty tissue acts as an inflammatory organ. It is not just aesthetic. It's an inflammatory organ, so it releases pro-inflammatory cytokines. Excess belly fat perpetuates inflammation. How excess weight influences? How? Excess weight, especially the central or abdominal type, increases visceral fat and therefore triggers systemic inflammation. People with normal body mass index, BMI, but excess of visceral fat, which is called false thin but metabolically obese, are also at risk. Some people says, no, I don't have a belly fat. I'm not fat. My BMI is normal, but you still can have a metabolically obese visceral fat, and you're also at risk. Okay, so think about that. Why visceral fat is associated with inflammation? Because visceral fat is just a passive, it is not just a passive storage of energy. It's an active endocrine organ and releases pro-inflammatory cytokines, C-reactive protein, which is a clinical marker of systemic inflammation, dysfunctional adipokines, which later which alter insulin sensitivity and lipid metabolism. This environment promotes chronic low-grade inflammation, which is silent but persistent. Consequences of chronic inflammation, for example, insulin resistance drives us to risk of type 2 diabetes. Endothelial damage, cardiovascular risk, hypertension, atherosclerosis, alteration of gut-brain axis, possible impact on mood and mental health, increased risk of cancer, especially of colon, breast, and pancreas. And this is only to mention some of them, okay? There are some references. You can screenshot this if you want to read more about it, or find out where I took the info from and developed this presentation. This is some of the references that I use, okay? This is based in science. This is not my opinion. I am just the messenger. Why it's hard to lose weight when there's inflammation? Have you think that, oh, even water makes me go fatter and fatter? What happens is that your metabolism slows down when you're inflamed. There is a greater fat storage. The body enters in a defensive rate, and your hunger and satiety hormones are altered. Hmm? The gut and inflammation are all close related. 70% of the immune system is in the gut, and dysbiosis promotes systemic inflammation. Just to remember, dysbiosis is the loss of balance in your good and bad bacteria or microbiome in your gut. Okay, bacterial endotoxins, then lipopolysaccharides, LPS, pass into the bloodstream and activate inflammatory responses. So the gut also plays an important role in this inflammation thing. How to biodesign your inflammation and thus control your body weight. We could biodesign, but it is consciously creating your health with small changes that adds up. It's controlling that chronic low-grade inflammation and thus supporting healthy weight. That's the way to biodesign. It includes anti-inflammatory nutrition, daily movement, stand up, do something, stop sedentarism, stress management, gut-friendly diet, and support with nutraceuticals. Okay, last but not least, support with nutraceuticals. Why? Because there are hundreds of supplements out there, but there are two to three that are crucial for you to understand. Number one, curcumin. Why? Because it is a powerful inflammation modulator. Anti-inflammatory effect at the molecular level, inhibition of these cytokine prostaglandins, and nanotechnology also allows for high absorption and fast action of this molecule, and it provides benefits in pain, metabolism, and general health. Also, curcumin is closely related to obesity and inflammation. Curcumin reduces inflammation in adipose tissue, resulting in lower levels of body fat in animal models. And obese mice fed at a high fat diet, also, curcumin improved insulin sensitivity, increased adiponectin, and reduced liver inflammation. So, the review of clinical trial meta-analysis reveals significant reductions in the levels of all these substances with curcumin supplementation. Okay? Habits that support anti-inflammatory biodesign. Okay? Eat real, natural, unprocessed food. My first suggestion. Walk at least 30 minutes a day or do something else, but move. Okay? Sleep well and manage stress. Take 10 drops of nanocurcumin, and if you have it in your market, one sachet of symbiotics or found a symbiotic that has prebiotics and probiotics, so you could potentialize all these results. Maintain a focus and consistency, not in perfection. It is the time, it is over time. Okay, consistency, not perfection and not intensity in one day and then 1 week off. It is consistency what is important. Biodesign your body free of inflammation. When inflammation decreases, when you are biodesigning it, your metabolism is activated. Improve your mood and energy. You start losing fat sustainably, and you regain control over your health and weight. There's a journal called Molecules in 2015 that talks about curcumin and its relation with inflammation, chronic diseases, and how are they linked. I summarize it in this few words: inflammation and chronic diseases. Um, the chronic inflammation cause oxidative stress and is linked to diseases such as obesity, arthritis, pancreatitis, Alzheimer's, and certain type of cancer. Curcumin can block inflammatory pathways of a lot of molecules. And mechanism of action, curcumin acts as an antioxidant, blocking the production of pro-inflammatory cytokines and regulating molecular pathways, protecting against oxidative damage and mitochondrial dysfunction. This is a little bit complex to understand if you go deeper, but what you need to understand is there's a link between curcumin, inflammation, and chronic diseases that science have explored and science have discovered and obtained a result that the curcumin is an amazing molecule to block low degree inflammation, low degree chronic inflammation. That's the main thing that you need to remember. Okay. And according to this article, the application of curcumin is in gastrointestinal diseases, could be all the inflammation things, well, for example, colitis, ulcerative colitis, and pancreatitis, neurodegenerative diseases. That this article mentions that protects against systemic it reduces the inflammation in the airways. And rheumatoid arthritis reduces joint damage by inhibiting inflammatory mediators. And also in cancer, it inhibits tumor growth and metastasis by modulating multiple molecular pathways. So, just to mention some of the applications this journal, this scientific proved journal, have shown us. And just to add something, can curcumin help lower body fat? Yes, it can help as an adjuvant in weight loss and body fat loss, especially in the context of a healthy lifestyle, proper diet, exercise, stress management, and it is not magic. Okay, it is not a magic solution on its own, but it does have relevant physiological effects that can contribute to the process. This is what we call biodesigning your health and thus controlling your body weight. Like I've mentioned at the beginning, small habits that give you big results. Okay, so how can curcumin help you reduce body fat? Reduction of chronic low-grade inflammation causes. Obesity is associated with a persistent inflammatory state. I just told you that. But curcumin is a powerful anti-inflammatory which helps regulate all these substances such as cytokines that are involved in insulin resistance and weight gain. So if all of this is related, improving insulin's insulin sensitivity causes the improvement of glucose metabolism and insulin response. This helps basically reducing insulin spikes that promote fat storage, specifically visceral fat, which drives you to what? To diseases, to chronic systemic diseases. So it is does this make sense what I'm talking about? Regulating, for example, the lipid metabolism, another characteristic of curcumin. It has been observed that it can lower LDL cholesterol, the bad one, triglycerides, free fatty acids, and also increase HDL, the good cholesterol. That's the way we know it, right? It inhibits the differentiation of pre-adipocytes to adipocytes and may promote lipolysis, which is the breakdown of stored fat. So all of this is positive. All of this that I'm talking about right now is highly positive to your health. And this can helps you even with your appetite, because the appetite control and gut-brain axis control, some studies suggest that curcumin can modulate neurotransmitters and hormones such as leptin, ghrelin, which are linked to hunger and satiety. So the message that comes from your your stomach and your gut to your brain that, okay, stop eating. I had enough. It doesn't, it doesn't receive it, because these are the hormones and neurotransmitters that are entitled of do that. So the improvement of the gut microbiota, it has indirect prebiotic effect. I'm talking about curcumin right now. I'm still talking about curcumin. It has indirect prebiotic effect that can support the balance of microbiome. Remember the dysbiosis, the imbalance, okay? Through an indirect prebiotic effect, curcumin supports the balance of microbiome. It is important in also in weight management. And we support this in what? Again, in science. The effect of curcumin supplementation on weight loss and anthropometric indices, an umbrella review, and updated meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials. Okay, I'm running out of time. I need to speed up a little bit. Uh, Key findings of this investigation: reduction of BMI, body mass index, reduction of body weight, reduction of waist circumference, and formulations with better bioavailability, mesolized formulations, showed more pronounced effects. This is the result of this investigation, this scientific investigation. Another thing, oxidative stress, the fuel of chronic inflammation. We've been talking about this. We've been talking about this, the imbalance between the oxidation and this reactive species, the reactive oxygen species activate inflammatory pathways. They cause damage to lipids, proteins, DNA, perpetuating the inflammation. It's a vicious cycle. Inflammation generates more oxidation, and oxidation generates more inflammation, and on and on and on. What can we do? Biodesign our health and control inflammation and oxidation. Again, number one, nutritious eating. Avoid highly processed foods. Do physical exercise. Again, the same thing. It's like a song. It's the same thing. Avoid sedentary lifestyles. Lose weight if there's excess, especially. Avoid being overweight. Relax, stay calm, avoid stress, sleep and rest. Avoid staying up late. Control the consumption of toxins, and include curcumin in your daily routine. Okay? Include curcumin. You need a support. The modern lifestyle doesn't allow us to stop taking supplements. You need to focus in the right ones, not on marketing things, no, on the right ones, in performance, in efficacy. The right effectiveness of the supplement is the most important things that you need to find. The curcumin problem, we all know, bioavailability. Yes, I still have some minutes. The curcumin, the bioavailability, the absorption, native curcumin has low oral absorption and pure bioavailability, which limits its clinical efficacy. And formulations such as nanoparticles have been developed to improve their bioavailability. This is all based on science. If you could see in the lower part, it says curcumin, inflammation, chronic diseases. All of this comes from this science discoveries and NIH publications. What are they saying right now? Micellar nanocurcumin is the liquid gold. High absorption curcumin, micellar technology, positively modulates inflammation and pain, positively supports immunity, powerful antioxidant. 10 drops are the equivalent of 8 kilos of fresh turmeric. 10 drops on 8 kilos? Could you believe that? That's what science does, okay? That's what science does. The technology is called the bioMS. It draws the things from the turmeric root up to micellization. going through three patents: curcuminal resin, nanotechnology, and micellization patents. Okay, and what's the what's the best function that we have? A better absorption. Yes, from 1 to 277 times more absorption in between the native curcumin and nanofied curcumin. Could you believe that? 277 times up to. And that is not my opinion. This is supported in science. In 2014, the molecular nutrition food research through the Institute of Biological Chemistry and Nutrition, the University of Hohenheim, Stuttgart, Germany, they found out that this micellar nanocurcumin does what I just told you, raises the absorption of, for example, native powder curcumin up to 277 times in bloodstream when they check it out. And this revolutionized the curcumin, the curcumin efficacy. Okay, in the States and the European Union, our nanocurcumin is being added with D3, not the Australian and New Zealand market yet, but in the US and European Union, our nanofied curcumin and curcumin plus has vitamin D3. And why is that important? Okay, just to get to the end, the vitamin D works against low-grade inflammation also. So they are synergistic, okay, with each other. Numerous studies have shown that vitamin D3 has an anti-inflammatory effects, modulates the immune response, interacts with vitamin D3 receptor that is present in immune cells and regulates their activity, and low levels of vitamin D3 have been associated with increase in systemic inflammation. Okay, vitamin D3 is also linked to weight management. So now you're getting it, right? When you put nanocurcumin with vitamin D3, Batman and Robin, make a good team. See? You see the relation? Although it is not a fat burner, interesting associations have been observed because vitamin D deficiency is common in people with obesity. Excess body fat is thought to trap vitamin D, reducing its availability. And what happens when you have adequate vitamin D3 supplementation? It improves your insulin sensitivity, such as curcumin, support appetite regulation through this hormone leptin, reduce inflammatory markers that hinder metabolism, and can also improve mood and energy, which promotes adherence to an active, healthy lifestyle. So this vitamin D3 is important also. And how to include it? Take at least 10 drops daily of biomass nanomicellar curcumin. Okay, you can mix it with water, with yogurt, with fruit, smoothies, protein supplement meals, or all alone. All alone also. Okay, you're not restricted to anything. We also have curcumin plus, which is an addition to curcumin and D3. We add a ginger extract and vitamin C to make a maximum absorption and bioavailability. And in the markets where we have a seen biofy, if you don't in your market, well, just look for a symbiotic that has pre and probiotic. In the meanwhile, symbiotic make it to your country, and because when curcumin modulates inflammation, symbiotic restores gut microbiota. When curcumin improves metabolism and energy, symbiotic improves digestion and absorption of nutrients. And when curcumin modulates oxidative stress, Synbiofar promotes gut transit and detoxification. So, my friends, time's up. Um, I invite you to biodesign an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, 10 drops at a time with nanomicellar curcumin. Okay, it's in your hands. The biodesigning of your health is in your hands. You are the only one who have this answer and who can make this decision. So thank you for being here, and thank you, Dave, for being here also.
My pleasure. Thanks to everyone who joined us. We're thrilled to have you as part of this call. We do this on the last Tuesday of every month, and we'd love to hear from you. We've got the great email address there, wellnessteam@vitify.co. Send any questions, any curiosities, any suggestions, any way you've used it. Send us any stories about how great it was, about what you've learned from it, what you've learned from your usage of any Vitify products. We'd love to hear it. And you may be featured on a future call. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to Dr. Fernandez. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.